Hello everyone and welcome to my garden on the Welsh border. It's currently the 1st of June, so I'm running a little bit late, but let's begin the May garden tour. So I think we're going to have to start talking about each bed separately because we have near enough planted every single thing out, and I think there's going to be a lot to cover in each bed apart from this bed, which is just potatoes, so it won't take that long to talk about this one. As you can see, the potatoes are growing so well. I have only ridged them up once, so I might try and ridge them up again today or tomorrow, but yeah, they're growing really well. So we've got the King Edward, Maris Piper, Desiree, and then we have the International Kidney and Charlotte. They're not growing as well in that far corner, not sure why, but yeah, there's going to be a lot of potatoes to harvest, isn't there? We have actually started to harvest the potatoes from the polytunnel. Delicious, but I will talk about the polytunnel later. Rhubarb we're just leaving because we only planted it last year. One of them actually we only planted this spring, so we're leaving that this year so it can focus on the crown. But yeah, that's that bed. There's not much else to say about it really. Let's talk about the Brassica bed next. I actually feel like, and I was watching the April tour video back just now, and it's so nice to see how much has changed in a month, because I think last time I spoke about this bed, the potatoes had just started popping through, and I think near enough everything was empty. So yeah, I'm quite excited to show you around this one because, like I said, we've near enough planted everything out, and yeah, it's starting to look really good. So let's talk about the Brassica bed. So yeah, the past month we have been super busy, as you can tell. Not only have we near enough planted everything out, but we've also managed to stay on top of the weeds. That was our main aim this year, to just stay on top of the weeding, and so far we have done. So yeah, it's looking so good. I'm so happy. I have tied the asparagus up because it's huge and it was flopping over the pathway, so just use these stakes that we make, put some twine around it, but yeah, it's doing what it's doing. Another year, and then we can pick it. Huzzah! So the sweet corn is here. I only planted that out yesterday. It was half term, so my nephew was here and he wanted to help plant out the sweet corn, so we did that. And he was really good at it actually. It was really good fun. So originally we were going to put a block here of 5 by 5, but we had some spare. And because only 3 butternut squash grew, I thought, well, I might as well put another row of sweet corn in. The more the merrier. So there's actually a block of 6 by 5 of sweet corn there. So hopefully this year we'll get a lot of sweet corn. Last year we stupidly didn't pick it quick enough, so we missed a lot of the cobs. So yeah, hopefully this year will be the year for sweet corn. So yeah, we've got the block of sweet corn there, and then we've got the 3 butternut squash. I think that variety is Hunter. They can just go wild through the sweet corn. I need to put 2 wigwams up for my Jack B. Little pumpkins. I've got a lot of Jack B. Little pumpkins. So yeah, they're going to go there. I'm hopefully going to plant them out this weekend. Then we've got the Brassica cage. We finally ordered the netting to fit, But anyway, here we have cabbage, golden acre. We have red cabbage, so red drumhead. We've got a row of swede, which we direct sowed, which is growing really well. Then we've got 2 rows of broccoli, Ironman broccoli, 1 row of autumn giant cauliflower, 1 row of sprouts this year. I don't know, I think they're called Brendan or Bridget. And then we are waiting to plant out the 1 row of kale in the end. It's still growing in the polytunnel, it's still quite small, but there's going to be half a row of the Nero di Toscana and then half a row of the kale, curly kale, sorry, in the end there. And then we've got the garlic, which I actually harvested some garlic scapes from the other day for the first time. Can you believe it? Well, actually, I haven't really grown garlic before. I grew it once, many moons ago, and I can't remember harvesting garlic scapes from that. So yeah, I tasted them for the first time. I got some eggs from the chickens, made some scrambled egg and put the garlic scapes in. It was very nice, very delicious. So yeah, that's that bed. That's the Brassica bed. Which one should we talk about next? Oh, I don't know. We'll go down to the front 2 beds anyway and we'll talk about them. Let's start with the Lagoon bed. And I just want to quickly mention the thing I am most excited about in this bed. Now, if you can remember, I planted out a row of calendula down the side here last year. Loads of it has self-seeded. I'm so happy about it. Now, I did sow some fresh calendula in the polytunnel. But you know what? We've been really struggling. I don't know if it's with the compost that we've been using, but a lot of the seedlings have just been stunted. And with the calendula, like, I sowed it months ago and it grew and it got to like 1 inch big and then it just stopped growing. So I was panicking because I like to grow my calendula. And I thought, you know, I'm just going to have to plant it out and hopefully it'll grow when it's out. And I went to do that and then I realised that loads of it has self-sown. I'm actually going to have to transplant some of these and put them in the flower bed, I think. But yeah, I'm so happy. Oh, it's the simple things, isn't it? So yeah, that's really good. That was a nice surprise. Then we've got the 2 rows of broad beans, Aqua Dulce Claudia. We've got 5 rows of peas. Now, we started to successionally sow them. So these ones were sown on the 17th of March. These ones were sown on the 3rd of May. And then my dad actually direct sowed the last 3 rows at the same time last night. So that's all the peas, a lot of peas. We made some new frames up actually for the peas because last year we used that jute netting. It didn't really work. So we made up some new metal ones. I need to make up some more. Then we have the runner beans, which we've planted the first half out. So it will go all the way along to the end. But again, we're trying to successionally grow the crops this year so we're not overrun. So the other runner beans are growing nicely in the polytunnel, so hopefully they can be planted out in a week's time. But yeah, there's the runner beans. They are Moonlight, I believe. And then there are 2 wigwams which have Belotti beans and Jack B. Little pumpkins growing up. I direct sowed the Belotti beans, so they have just popped up. And I've planted out the Jack B. Little as well. I need to plant the ones in the Brassica as well. I want a lot of Jack B. Little. They are so nice roasted. And then in the middle of the 2 wigwams, there's 3 courgettes. They are, I think, 2 Sunstripe, which are the yellow ones, and then 1 Romanesco. But yeah, 3 courgettes is more than enough for us and the chickens. So yeah, and then the lavender. growing very, very nice. But that is the lagoon bed. That is the lagoon bed. All done, all completely done. So let's talk about the other bed. The other bed with all the sort of roots and alliums and things in. Just call it the other bed. So I've been having a little bit of a problem with this bed, especially with the carrots and the parsnips. So last year we direct sowed a lot of stuff and it worked beautifully. It was perfect. This year, direct sowing has proved to be quite troublesome. We had to re-sow the carrots and the parsnips because the first direct sowing didn't work. I just think it's been too cold, too wet, far too wet. So yeah, everything's a little bit later. And it was the same with the Swiss chard. I direct sowed the Swiss chard and I don't know, five seedlings from 3 rows. Yeah, it's just been terrible. So anyway, we did re-sow the carrots and the parsnips, and the carrots have come up nicely. Parsnips have yet to appear. So yeah, it's a proper pain, but we will persevere, keep going. But anyway, there's going to be 3 rows of carrots here overall. We are successionally sowing them. So we've only sown the first row. We'll probably sow the second row in the next few days. It needs a good weeding. And like I said, the parsnips haven't shown yet, but hopefully very soon. So here is our sort of little experiment bit, apart from the 2 rows of beetroot. Everything else is new. I've never grown it before. So I've split this strip into half. So the back 4 rows has celery, which I finished planting out actually the last row yesterday. But yeah, there's 4 rows of celery seedlings in there. Then this front half has the 2 rows of beetroot, which I've sown. 1 row of fennel, Romanesco fennel, and 1 row of celeriac, which is giant Prague. Yeah, giant Prague. Never grown celeriac, never grown fennel, never grown celery. So it will be very interesting. Very interesting. But yeah, I mean, that's all going quite well. Again, I sowed 1 row of beetroot and 2 seedlings came up. So that was re-sown. And then I think that was sown a week ago, and then I've sown another row yesterday. But yeah, it is what it is. We just got to roll with it, haven't we? we just got to roll with it. So this bit here is my row of flowers. I've got the 2 wigwams of sweet peas, which are so slow. I really need to get on it with the sweet peas, because every year I feel like I'm quite late on the sweet pea party. But the cornflowers are growing so nice. I've harvested a couple of bunches from them actually to dry in the shed to put in my tea. I love cornflowers so much, and now I put them in my tea. I love them even more. And then, what's this one? Ah, yes. So I've got Amimagus and Cosmos up to here. And then there is Feverfew and Nigella, all in that row. So a few nice little cut flowers there. And yeah, there are plans for more cut flowers, but I will share that a little bit later. Then here we've got 3 rows of leeks, which again I only planted last weekend. They weren't as big as I would have liked them to have been planting out. They need to be about the thickness of a pencil. These were not, but again, like I was saying about the seedlings being quite stunted this year, I just wanted to get them out. So yeah, there's 3 rows of leeks there, which are the Musselburgh variety. There's the 1 row of shallots and 3 rows of onions growing beautifully. And then there's 3 rows of Swiss chard on the end. And like I said, with the Swiss chard, it just didn't germinate. So I sowed some in the polytunnel in some modules a few weeks ago, and I will try and plant that out this weekend. And then, yeah, a random poppy down the end, which is looking beautiful. But yeah, it would have been nice if there was more. Right, let's head into the polytunnel. Right, I thought I'd better talk about the fruit before we go into the polytunnel, because I don't often show you this area. I mean, there's not a lot to talk about. It's still covered up with this to try and suppress the weeds. It is working. I've had a little peek and it is working. But the plan is to basically build a little wooden frame, put some bark down, and then build a netted cage to go over the top. But yeah, we'll do that somewhen. But anyway, we have 4 blackcurrant. So there are 2 Ben Elders and 2 Ben Lomond blackcurrants. There's 2 gooseberries, which are Hinnon Mackie Green. And then there's 2 rows of Autumn Bliss raspberries. They're all growing really, really well. I mean, it will take some time for them to really establish into nice size bushes. Most of them we planted not last year, the year before, apart from this gooseberry, which we planted last year because we lost the original one. But yeah, they're all growing quite well. I do want to harvest some of the raspberry leaves actually, because it makes really, really nice tea. So I might do that at some point. But yeah, there's the fruit. And that's it. We're going to work quite hard on the polytunnel this weekend because the cucumbers and the melon and the loofahs need to go out. They are desperate to be planted out. So we're going to dig up the little Brassica nursery bed which we made down in the corner, because obviously they've all been planted out now. Apart from the kale. Yeah, we need to keep that row, don't we? Anyway, we're going to put the cucumbers and the melon and the loofah out because, yeah, they really need to go out. Tomatoes have been planted out a little bit later than we would have liked, but we did have some carrots here. So, yeah, we obviously had to dig those up. My dad made some carrot soup, actually, bless him. So the first lot of tomatoes are in, and then we're waiting for the broad beans to be dug up. But they are producing, yeah, they are really, really good. Really good. They've got so many beans on them, so it always seems such a shame to have to dig them up to put the tomatoes in. So we didn't plan that out very well. So yeah, hopefully next year we can learn from our mistake. But yeah, they're producing beautifully. Then we've got the potatoes, which again we have been harvesting from. Oh, they're so delicious. So delicious. Actually, we probably could have started harvesting them a little bit earlier because some of them are quite big for new potatoes. But they are the international kidney variety. Then we've got some lettuce. A couple are going to seed, so the chickens are enjoying them. But yeah, we've just got lettuce, which we are sort of doing successionally again. There's some spring onions there. I think we need to sow some other salad to go in here. I don't know why we haven't. We've just been so busy in the outside garden part that, yeah, we seem to have forgotten about the polytunnel a little bit. And then there's just some odd seedlings here. The Swiss chard and the runner beans are waiting to go out. We've got some penstemon cuttings that need to be planted out. So yeah, hopefully this will also disappear today. And yeah, we can get sorted in the polytunnel. But like I said, this is our first year basically growing in the polytunnel. So yeah, it's all a bit of a learning curve. And we are writing notes down in our diary so we can improve for next year. But so far, so good, I think. Yeah. Right, I'm going to show you the orchard next because it has changed dramatically since I last showed you. This space makes me feel so happy. not only because the wildflower seed has obviously worked and it's looking stunning, but the chickens. I am an official crazy chicken lady. I spend most of my time with the chickens. I talk to the chickens. Yeah, they just make me happy. And they are getting on so well. So I introduced the 3 new ones in the last tour video, didn't I? At the end of April. And I was introducing them slowly in the crate. And then I got some advice about putting them into the coop at night. And ever since I did that, they're all the best of friends. So yeah, really, really happy with that. They are all getting on beautifully. There's no fights. They're mingling with each other. It's just, yeah, a very happy ending. I can see the 3 new ones now, actually. They still stick together, the 3 new ones, Hedwig, Ginny and Pigeon. They still stick together, and they are still a little bit nervous of me, but I mean, that will come with time. But yeah, no fights. Very, very happy family. And yeah, it's just such a peaceful area to sit in. And I'm just so glad that the seed actually germinated. Because I don't know if you remember me harping on about how I thought the chickens had ruined the orchard. Poor chickens, I blame the chickens. But yeah, and I was looking back in the April video, and it was quite bare, wasn't it? So it just goes to show you how much can change in a month. So yeah, everything's going nice in this area. The apple trees are growing nicely, chickens are behaving, flowers are blooming. The beehives are looking very picturesque. I've decided not to get bees till next year, so they can just be looking pretty for now. But yeah, I think this is my favourite place in the garden at the moment. Just sitting here with the chickens. Yeah, it's really, really peaceful. But now I'm going to talk about something very, very exciting. So big plans are afoot for this area. Now, in our original plans, we were going to have a humongous greenhouse, one of the really nice looking Victorian style ones, with the dwarf brick wall and the little porch pointing out to the front. But we have changed that plan quite drastically, actually, because we came to the conclusion, and we put our practical gardener hats on. We have the polytunnel. We're going to have a nice big potting shed. The only reason we would need a greenhouse is to raise the seedlings in, so we can heat that area for the seedlings. And we thought, why do we need a really expensive, pretty looking greenhouse? We didn't really need it. I mean, it would have been nice to have had, you know, that style greenhouse here, but we just didn't need it. So we have gone for a slightly smaller greenhouse. Only, I think it's 8 by 12 greenhouse, and it's just a standard metal frame greenhouse. We are getting it in the ivory colour. It's still going to have like the finials and the nice Victorian decorative, what do you call that bit that goes along the top? That bit. It's still going to have that on, so it's still going to look really, really nice. But yeah, we've just gone down to a smaller size. We have ordered it, and it's arriving on the 10th of June. So we need to get those foundations down, although we are putting it up ourselves, so there's not too much of a rush. We obviously won't be growing anything in it this year. But the greenhouse is now going to go here. So we've got the electrical point plugged in here. So yeah, the greenhouse is going to go here. Sort of in line, the doorway is going to be in line with the middle pathway there. So that's going to go there. We're going to have a nice little patio area between the greenhouse and the potting shed, which means got all of this space, which also means I can have not just one, but 2 cut flower beds. So yeah, there's going to be 2 nice big cut flower beds here. Oh, so happy about it, so happy. I think we're still going to have 2 square raised beds in the front here for the strawberries, and there's still going to be a raised bed over there as well, I think, for the dahlias. So yeah, it's changed a little bit, but it's super exciting, so exciting. We did actually get a quote for a potting shed as well, but I think we're just focusing on the greenhouse for now, and then the potting shed can come a little bit later. But yeah, so exciting, so exciting. Gosh, it's starting to warm up now. It's nearly 8 o'clock, so hopefully it's going to be a really nice day. I can get some more gardening done. But the tea tub is growing beautifully. It's growing so well. I mean, the chamomile is taking over quite a bit. I have been picking a lot of the chamomile heads. They are drying in the shed, but hopefully there's going to be a lot more because I do love my chamomile tea. I've also harvested a few sprigs of the lemon balm to dry in the shed, but what I have been doing 2 or 3 times a week is coming down into the garden with my hot water, picking a few leaves of the lemon balm and just having fresh lemon balm tea. I've never tried it before, but oh my gosh, it's delicious. It's so delicious. So yeah, they're growing well. Then the bergamot is also growing a little bit slower, but it's growing, and there's peppermint in there as well. But yeah, really chuffed with how that's looking. I do feel like I need a bigger tub though. But I'm just genuinely happy with how the garden is looking. And I mean, me and my dad have been putting in a lot of work, so I am incredibly proud of all the work we've been putting in. But it's been worth it. It's been worth it. It's looking really good. We're staying on top of the weeds so far. I mean, we have a month off from the garden shows. We're still working, but the next garden shows are Hampton Court and Tatton Park, which are both in July. So we'll have to see what the garden looks like in July and August. Might look a bit of a mess, but yeah, so far so good. It is looking really nice, and the flower bed is blooming beautifully. So my mum is officially in charge of the flower bed. She's not particularly into gardening, but she's getting there, and she's having so much fun with the flower bed. So yeah, that's really nice to witness. And it's also really nice now for me to wake up in my tiny house and look out the window and see all the flowers blooming and see the garden. Yeah, it's a really nice sight. So yeah, just a very happy gardener at the moment. But I think that's about it for the May tour. I'm going to drink my lemon balm tea, and I think the chickens are waiting for some mealworms. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all soon.